We are used to seeing playgrounds that look like this, and this. Rarely do we see any playgrounds that look like this, and this. This presentation will explore how playground design and risky play impact and foster child development and the importance of risky play for children. In a study developed in 1967 called the Alternative Uses Test, participants of varying ages were given 1 minute to list all of the uses they could think of for a paperclip. This test was created to evaluate divergent thinking, one's ability to think outside the box and in creative ways. Based on the creativity of each participant's answers and the number of uses they were able to brainstorm, each participant received a divergent thinking score. 98% of participating kindergartners were geniuses at divergent thinking. 5 years later, the same group of kids was tested, and only 50% were still geniuses. As you may imagine, the downward trend continued as this group of children got older. Kids' imaginations and their ability to think creatively are incredible. While we adults struggle to think of more than a few rather obvious uses for a paperclip, children do not limit a paperclip to solely being a small piece of metal meant to clip paper. A paperclip could be 20 feet tall and purple and made out of cake. By extension, when thinking about a playground, while we see a railing as a prudent safety feature, children see it as something to slide and swing on. Educators often begin by thinking about creativity in the classroom, focusing on the importance of self-directed learning and creative teaching methods. However, in many respects, the best example of pure self-directed learning is the playground. Preschool teachers spend an incredible amount of time and care into planning each minute of the day in order to foster a child's growth. While these moments inside of the classroom are important, we must spend just as much time thinking about the time that children spend playing and what that environment should look like. The playground is a classroom that deserves far more attention. So what is the importance of playground design for children? To begin to answer this question, we will look at two alternative and creative playgrounds. The first is a playground in North Wales called The Land, and was founded in 2006 with the mission to give children a wild environment on which to create their own playground.
It's nearly done! There we go.
As As you saw in the video, at first the boy was using the saw incorrectly. Seeing that it was ineffective and possibly dangerous, he automatically corrected himself and naturally changed to sawing correctly in order to accomplish the task at hand. This example powerfully demonstrates the effectiveness of experimentation in self-directed learning. Claire Griffiths, the playground's manager and founder, explains, "I wanted to compensate for the lack of wild play and adult-free experiences. I wanted something kids could make up and break up and rediscover every visit. The land is fantastic, but in an ideal world there wouldn't be a fence around it. Children would be able to do all the things they do there without having to open and close a gate." These two quotes really capture the essence of the land's mission, one of child discovery and adventure. The second example of an alternative playground is Adventure Playground, which lies on the Berkeley Marina. To get a feel for this unique play setting, we will listen to a 2-minute clip from NPR's Where the Wild Things Play. The YouTube video was not part of the NPR clip, but rather serves as a visual aid while you listen.
NPR's Eric Westervelt takes us to Berkeley, California, and one of the few adventure playgrounds in the nation.
9-year-old Ethan Lipsey clutches a framing hammer and a 9-penny nail. He's ready to hang his freshly painted sign on a wooden fork.
It says, Ethan, Hudson, and Lillian were here. There's a lot of things that kids built, and that kids built. It's not adults doing work, it's kids doing the work.
That could be the motto of Berkeley's Adventure Playground. There's a semi-orderly, beachside junkyard feel here. Nothing fancy or slick. It's a half-acre of dirt and quirky chaos hugging the Berkeley Marina on San Francisco Bay. Kids, grab a bucket and brush. You can paint on almost anything here except each other. Grab some wood and nails. It's hammer time.
I dare you to go inside one, and I'll push it down the slide. Yeah!
12-year-old Parker Swenson and his 7-year-old cousin Tyler eye the long blue plastic tubes. They climb inside. Perfect for barreling down the hill here into the dirt.
Whoa! That was so awesome. I'm going again.
Nearby, 4-year-old Braden Swenson wanders into an improvised wooden shed, continuing his exhaustive search for gold and treasure.
Is there any treasure in here? I'm looking everywhere for them, and I can't find any. Is there any around here anywhere?
In an era of padded playgrounds and helicopter parenting, the Berkeley Adventure Playground stands out.
Okay, enough work. It's time to play. I'm going to ride the zip line while recording myself. What could possibly go wrong? Any advice?
Point your feet towards the dirt so that the sand doesn't get in your underwear. Hope you have fun.
All right, thanks, man.
1, 2, 3.
Woo! Eric Westervelt, NPR News, Berkeley Adventure Playground. Whoa!
One of the main ideas expressed in both videos was the empowerment of the child, and through the children's ability to actually create their own playground and carry out an authentic vision for the playground, they express a great deal of ownership for what they create and learn how to be a responsible playmate. Another common thread between these two playgrounds is the incredible pushback from adults expressing concern that these wild playgrounds are too dangerous. There is a constant tension between safety and child development, and it is important to explore the question of, what do kids gain from risky play? Is there a benefit to giving up some aspect of safety and security in favor of greater independence and possible risk? Multiple studies have confirmed that through risky play, children develop their self-directed executive functioning skills. These skills are what affect one's ability to think independently, switch quickly between subject matter and activities, and quick planning and decision-making. These are skills that we use an infinite number of times each day, and that can greatly affect our success as adults. As you can see from this graph, self-directed executive functioning skills are developed right around the preschool and kindergarten age range, mainly between the ages of 3 to 6, which is why it is crucial to focus on fostering these skills. Furthermore, studies have shown that children who have more, less structured time develop stronger executive functioning skills. Additionally, introducing risky play at a young age actually leads to having fewer phobias later in life. those who learn to overcome fears at a young age are less likely to have those fears grow as an adult. Despite these important developmental gains from risky play, parents' primary fear is that their child will get injured. However, injury has little to do with the playground design and everything to do with each child's own risk perception. In fact, a child that is constantly at an anxious parent's side is more likely to badly injure him or herself than a child on a riskier playground. This is because that child is not given the opportunity to understand their personal limits, how to assess a dangerous situation, and how to overcome fears. In a Norwegian study on risky play, Leif Edward Ottesen Kenner writes, "Risk is not necessarily a danger that needs to be avoided, but rather something that needs to be managed." In other words, risk and risky play are not things that we should avoid altogether, but rather things that we should foster in safe and open environments to encourage child development. As I mentioned earlier, injury proneness has little to do with the playground. This is a risk thermostat diagram made by scientist John Adams, and it demonstrates the different things that affect a child's risk perception. It has to do with the child's past experiences, what they see as being dangerous, how open they are to take a risk, and what they see as being the reward if taking that risk. Most of children's injuries on the playground are due to a misuse of the equipment, as opposed to being a more dangerous playground. Children yearn for risk and thrill, and will seek this risk in whatever environment they are a part of. Whether on a plastic shiny playground or one covered with rocks and tree trunks to climb on, the child will achieve this thrill. However, the more natural play setting can serve as a stronger outdoor classroom. Thinking back to your favorite part of the playground as a child, this playground element probably involved heights and/or speed. And there's a reason for this. A feeling of losing control yet simultaneously having control is what gives children a thrill. Studies have defined risky play as embodying any of these 6 elements: dangerous tools, heights, speed, disappearing and getting lost, rough and tumble, and dangerous elements. The purpose of the playground should be to form as an all-encompassing classroom setting, an outdoor environment to foster growth and exploration and to encourage experiencing different textures, shapes, and elements. The playground has become the new outdoor classroom. Let's take a look at a recently constructed outdoor classroom at a preschool in Berkeley, California. The traditional climbing structure has been replaced with a more natural landscape, where risky play and creativity are woven into the design elements. Gross motor skill development is encouraged through climbing, steep steps, a tree stump hill, a rock hill, a path through the landscape for tricycle riding, or just taking a walk over the bridge. And you gotta have monkey bars. And building things with boards with tiles and clay pipes. Finer motor skill development is encouraged by experiencing and playing with different textures. Sliding into the dry riverbed filled with polished pebbles and stones of different sizes, shapes, and colors. And sand play. Imaginative play in smaller spaces, like a treehouse, with a fig tree canopy as a roof, or a trellis gathering area, and a teepee village. Experiencing the life cycle and learning about plants and trees, with herbs, a pomegranate tree, fig tree, an apple tree, and a banana plant. In conclusion, why does this all matter? We must encourage play-based learning by creating rich environments that seamlessly integrate the indoor with the outdoor. It is important to remember that while safety is important, we must provide our preschoolers with the space to test limits, overcome fears, and foster creativity. Reasonable risk-taking is developmentally significant. Our preschoolers are so excited to explore and experience everything they come in contact with. Let's not underestimate the mind of a preschooler. They are geniuses at thinking outside the box. We ought to try to think more like them, at least some of the time. Observing preschoolers, an educator asked one child what she was drawing. The child said she was drawing a picture of God. "You know, no one really knows what God looks like," said the educator. The child looked up and said, "They will in a minute." Thank you very much.